Hi, I'm Rudy Maxa. Christmas in the Alps. What could be more festive? If you've ever dreamed of heading to Europe for a winter holiday complete with crafts markets and alpine snow, well, we've got a show for you. Next up, it's Christmas in Switzerland on Smart Travels.
Smart Travels is a grand tour of the old world, the people, places, sights, and distinctly European flavors. Our host is travel writer and columnist Rudy Maxa, Public Radio's original savvy traveler. Now, tips, trips, and secret places on Smart Travels.
The days are growing shorter and chillier. People bundle up against the winter cold. But there's nothing that brightens dark December days more than glittering Christmas decorations, winter sports, and holiday cheer. It's Christmas time in Europe, and Switzerland has a special glow.
I'm ready for hot spice cider and gingerbread, handmade ornaments and Christmas carols. Switzerland is the perfect place for a winter vacation. Here you can spend days browsing cheery Christmas markets, head to the ski slopes for icy thrills, and warm up to the distinctive holiday traditions of the Swiss.
This trip will check out Christmas customs across Switzerland. We'll begin in the German-speaking part of the country, in the little town of Bramgerten, take in busy Zurich, and then visit medieval Einsiedeln. Later, it's Switzerland with a French twist when we visit Lake Geneva and the cities of Montreux, Lausanne, and Geneva.
If you've never visited Europe in winter, you may be wondering if there are any special air travel concerns. Well, with the efficient Swiss transportation system, including Zurich's newly renovated airport, travel during winter months isn't a problem.
There are several easy ports of entry into Switzerland. We chose Zurich because it's a major hub and there are lots of convenient flights available. For example, Swiss, the country's major airline, has many direct flights from the U.S., and it's easy to book tickets online. Our first stop is Bramgerten, a little town straight out of the Middle Ages and just 10 miles from Zurich Airport. Since it's off the tourist track, Bramgerten is unfamiliar to most visitors. But it's popular among the Swiss for its wonderful Christmas market. No cars are allowed in Bramgerten's beautifully preserved old town. This has been a lively trading center since a Habsburg emperor granted it city status nearly 800 years ago. You'll find Christmas markets throughout Europe. In Switzerland, there is much a part of the holiday tradition as Christmas trees, chocolates, and St. Nicholas. They come in all shapes and sizes, from the month-long affairs in big cities to smaller weekend events in towns like this one. While there's a certain similarity to these markets, each offers its own special touches. My friend Anna and I quickly discovered that hot spiced wine, or Glühwein, is a staple of every Christmas market. You'll also find bratwurst and bakery items, as well as plenty of music and entertainment, some traditional, and some, well, perhaps a bit unexpected.
Here I go, singing low, bye, bye, blackbird.
As we head back to downtown Zurich, we see that the city is alive with Christmas spirit. Sophisticated Zurich is the country's capital and its largest city. This is Switzerland's banking and financial center, as well as a shopper's dream. The famous Bahnhofstrasse shopping street is decked out in all its seasonal finery. December 6th is the actual feast day for the historic St. Nicholas, and here it's cause for some serious celebration. In Zurich, St. Nick heads through town on a Christmas streetcar. Several Swiss cities feature the Marla tram, or fairy tale streetcar, that runs only during the month before Christmas.
I think that's an interesting thing.
This one piece will make 52 layers.
Watch on mobile devices or the big screen. All for free. No subscription required.
St. Nicholas is at the wheel, while an angel tells fairy tales to the kids. Only children are allowed on the ride. Parents are given a specific time and place to meet their children at the end of the line.
Just as in most places in the world, Christmas here is truly a magical time for children. Little ones can find all sorts of special activities throughout the season, and it's fun to see how Swiss kids celebrate the holidays.
One of Zurich's beloved traditions is the singing Christmas tree. Children from both the city and outlying areas come here to climb up on a platform built in the shape of a tree and sing traditional carols. The singing Christmas tree puts in an appearance in Zurich's Old Town several times during the weeks leading up to the big holiday. As the gathering crowds will attest, it's a smash hit with passersby. Another activity that Swiss kids love is making hand-dipped candles. Vendors set up little stands at various locations in the city where people can come to dip string into hot wax, building enough layers to form a candle. The melted beeswax is just as delicious smelling as it is fun to shape, and the kids come up with some pretty interesting creations. The tradition here is that children surprise their parents with their wax masterpieces on Christmas Eve. In Zurich, we find the biggest Christmas market in the country, an indoor extravaganza located in the central train station. The normally businesslike station exudes holiday cheer when more than 140 decorated market stands spill over with both contemporary fare and traditional gifts. Crystal lovers may think they're hallucinating when they see the market's centerpiece. A 50-foot-tall Christmas tree glittering with more than 5,000 Swarovski crystal ornaments. The effect is nothing short of dazzling. A short stroll from the train station will get you out of your shoes and into a pair of skates. During the holiday season, the castle-like courtyard of the National Museum becomes a winter wonderland when it's transformed into an ice rink. With its alpine climate, Switzerland is legendary for winter sports. Skating, skiing, snowshoeing, sledding, you name it, this country's got it. The Swiss enthusiastically embrace the exhilaration of winter sports. In fact, Lausanne is the proud home of the International Olympic Committee. An elegant place to warm up icy toes is the Bauer au Lac Hotel. This is one of Zurich's most charming accommodations, and it's been owned by the same family since it opened in 1844. The grand interiors and excellent restaurants make this a true indulgence. Through the years, many prominent guests have enjoyed the hotel's impeccable service.
Who are some of the famous men and women of history who have stayed here at the Bauer Lock?
The Empress of Austria, Elizabeth, called Sissi, and she stayed with us just before her trip to Geneva, where she was murdered a few days later.
Some musicians stayed here as well.
Musician, yes, Wagner and Liszt. The two met here, and the famous Walküre was written here in this lobby right here.
For a trip back in time, we're visiting medieval Einsiedeln, about 22 miles south of Zurich. Switzerland's most important place of pilgrimage, Einsiedeln has been drawing believers for centuries, thanks to this beautiful Baroque abbey and a pious hermit named Saint Meinrad.
Father Basil, can you tell me a little of the history of this abbey?
1200 years ago, Saint Meinrad, a monk of the Abbey of Reichenau, came here to live as a hermit, to search for God with all his time and his strength. And he lived here for 25 years.
When the hermit was killed by robbers, the story of his murder spread throughout Europe. Before long, religious pilgrims began traveling here to show respect for the slain man.
Later, a community of monks founded a Benedictine monastery on this site. And what was once a humble hermitage in the middle of the forest grew into a Baroque explosion of religious fervor. Every afternoon at 4:30, the monks of the abbey gathered to sing Latin Vespers. St. Meinrad was especially devoted to the Blessed Virgin, and the abbey became famous as the home to a statue of the Black Madonna.
The statue is standing there in the chapel since many centuries, and it got black through the candles, oil lamps, incense. And then after the statue had to be rescued before the French soldiers in the 18th century, it was brought back, they cleaned it, but people were not used to it. So that's why they painted it black.
One of Einsiedeln's special traditions is gingerbread, made here at the Gold Apfel Bakery. This has been a thriving business since the late 19th century. While most of the pastries look quite delicate, the bakery's original bread has a real stick-to-your-ribs quality. Pilgrims visiting the town's abbey relied on it to sustain them on their journey home. This is actually a museum as well as a working bakery, and the kitchen's loaded with old wooden molds, unusual cooking implements, and heavenly aromas. Next, we're driving to Lake Geneva, nestled in French-speaking Switzerland. We want to investigate Christmas fun in the string of cities that line the lake: Montreux, Lausanne, and Geneva. Switzerland's been dubbed Europe's winter playground, thanks to the country's more than 200 first-class ski areas. Several are easily accessible from the Lake Geneva area, including the famous resorts at Villars and Gstaad. Glacier 3000 near the town of Les Diablerets offers spectacular alpine scenery and reliable snow cover. What self-respecting skier hasn't dreamed of shoosing down Swiss slopes under clear alpine skies? Although the ski season doesn't usually get into full swing until after Christmas, in December you can still satisfy your craving for some snowy fun. And if skiing is too much exertion or you just want a novel holiday experience, try dog sledding. The flat countryside near Glacier 3000 offers ideal conditions for dog sledding. Here you can hop on a sled pulled by 25 huskies ready and raring to go. While the Swiss Alps have traditionally been associated with the rescue work of St. Bernard dogs, today teams of huskies are right at home in these snowy mountains. And the chance to interact with these animals is a special treat for dog lovers. The energetic pups have a natural urge to run, and it's fascinating to experience firsthand this relationship between animal and human. Montreux, Lake Geneva's chief resort, sits like an amphitheater on the shore. Though generally quiet during the winter, this week Montreux is jammed with visitors here to enjoy the city's famous Christmas fair. Montreux's fair features more than 100 wooden chalet-style stalls that line the city's waterfront. These colorful crafts have a more traditional, handmade approach compared to the modern gifts you see in Zurich. Among the thousands of treasures, you'll likely find lots of carved wood, ceramics, and of course, ornaments in all shapes and sizes. And for the food lovers on your list, the Montreux Fair is known for its delicious baked goods, smoked meats, and some very generous helpings of local dishes, such as sausages, potatoes, and sauerkraut. Now that I've seen a few things I want for Christmas, I'm off in search of Santa Claus. A cog-wheel train departs every hour for the scenic mountain lookout of Rocher de Nez. It takes visitors up the steep slopes through snowy fairy tale scenery. At an altitude of 6,500 feet, we're afforded a splendid panorama of the Alps. And tucked on the edge of this mountain summit, we find a little house that holds Santa's offices. Santa, known here as Father Christmas or Père Noël, listens patiently as the children share with him their most cherished Christmas dreams. And naturally, Père Noël welcomes visits from kids of all ages. The Chateau of Chalon is Montreux's great landmark, and tonight it's all decked out for the holidays. This grand castle was once the headquarters of the French Counts of Savoy, who controlled the area in the Middle Ages. Tonight, a lighting artist has illuminated the normally gray fortress in the colors of the Swiss flag.
The dramatic lighting really makes this 13th century castle stand out against the night sky.
Lausanne, perched nimbly on the north shore of Lake Geneva, may be Switzerland's most photogenic city.
For centuries, Lausanne's been a popular destination for philosophers, expatriates, and exiles. The city gained a brilliant reputation during the Age of Enlightenment, when many prominent 18th century writers congregated here.
Lausanne's social scene included such notables as Rousseau and Voltaire. When Charles Dickens lived here in 1846, Thackeray and Tennyson stopped in for a visit. And T.S. Eliot wrote The Wasteland here in 1922. Home to a major university, Lausanne has plenty of restaurants, hotels, and shopping. Switzerland wouldn't be Switzerland without chocolate. And Durig Chocolatier produces tempting handmade chocolates using the purest ingredients. What makes Swiss chocolate so special?
Well, Swiss chocolate is made from the best cocoa beans, and the secret of good chocolate is all in the cocoa bean.
And what makes your chocolate special in Switzerland?
Well, we specialize in very dark, not too sweet chocolate, which is also made from the best Criollo cocoa beans. The different beans have different flavors and different levels of acidity or bitterness. The best cocoa beans are not too bitter, but are very strong.
At Christmas time, you'll find specialties like these chocolate Santas and nativity scenes. Always a hit with a chocoholic on your list, like me. The Cathedral of Notre Dame is Switzerland's largest church, and some would say its grandest. Each evening from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m., the cathedral's night watchman climbs to the top of the bell tower. There he calls out the hour from all four sides of the church, north, south, east, and west.
C'est le guet, il a sonné 10, il a sonné 10.
He faithfully performs this task 365 days a year.
Tradition was to inform the people when a fire was starting and ring the bell, the alarm bell. You have to imagine the surroundings of the cathedral. The houses were only on wood, so people were cooking with fire. At night they had candles, so the risks of fire was quite high.
This special Lausanne tradition has lasted for 600 years. Hotels in the Lake Geneva area tend to be on the pricey side, but you'll find plenty of selection. In Lausanne, a place to celebrate the holidays in style is the Beau Rivage Palace. The hotel's been a hit with glamorous types since the days when Gary Cooper and Noel Coward stayed here. Now, if you like the idea of staying right in the heart of downtown Geneva, you might consider the Hotel Edelweiss. It's a little less expensive, and the chalet decor makes it a cozy choice for a winter holiday. Geneva, Switzerland's second largest city, has long been known for its tolerance and progressive attitudes. The original home of the League of Nations, Geneva is also the birthplace of the International Red Cross.
We're just in time to learn about Geneva's unique winter celebration, Escalade. This festival occurs every December to commemorate a historical event that happened here 400 years ago, the victory of Geneva's citizens over invading Savoyard soldiers.
Escalade means scaling. In 1602, the Duke of Savoy hatched a plan to attack Geneva and return the Calvinist city to Catholicism. When the Duke's men attempted to scale the city walls using ladders, the locals defended their city with whatever was on hand: artillery, knives, and in the case of one woman, a pot of boiling soup. Yes, Madame Royan drove off enemy soldiers by throwing hot vegetable soup called marmite into the street beneath her window. Each year, the locals here don 17th century clothing and sip cups of hot soup in honor of Madame Royan's brazen broth. Once a year, in honor of Escalade, city officials open up a hidden passageway in Geneva's medieval city walls.
Well, in fact, as you can see, this is a way which leads in the wall system surrounding the city to a place where you can fight for the protection and the defense of the city.
These days, Madame Royan's scalding soup is memorialized in a more tantalizing way, with kettles made from chocolate and filled with marzipan. Throughout the city, chocolatiers and bakeries create these chocolate soup cauldrons and fill them up with marzipan vegetables. And since tossing cauldrons from windows is no longer encouraged, the locals have developed a new custom. After a hearty dinner in a favorite restaurant, the children of the family happily smash the chocolate pots on the table. Then everyone joins in to eat the chocolate shards and candy vegetables. The snow is hanging heavily on the evergreens, and Christmas is nearly here. There's nothing quite like immersing yourself in holiday traditions to truly appreciate another culture. With majestic Alps as a backdrop and handmade ornaments to brighten the early dusk, Switzerland's bound to fill your heart with holiday cheer.
So grab your mittens and warm up that caroling voice. There's shopping, skiing, spiced cider, and a Swiss winter wonderland just waiting for you. I guarantee it'll be a Christmas experience you'll never forget. Hi, I'm Rudy Maxa on the island of Oahu. Now you know about the sunshine, the waving palms, and secluded beaches, but did you know that there's a royal palace in our 50th state? Or that Kauai has its own Grand Canyon? Well, stay with us. Next, it's the Hawaiian islands of Oahu and Kauai on Smart Travels.
Smart Travels is a grand tour of the world's great destinations, the people, places, and unique local flavors. Now, tips, trips, and secret places on Smart Travels Pacific Rim.
Hawaii's aloha means the joyful sharing of life energy. It's a spirit that prevails, from urban complex Honolulu to the pristine island of Kauai. Aloha is a traveler's welcome to adventure, daydreams, and the tradition of soaking up sunshine. Once you've taken in the islands, Queen Liliuokalani's words in Aloha Oi ring true. One fond embrace until we meet again. Hawaii includes a 1,500-mile chain of islands and reefs, but 99% of the land is on a group of 8 islands. We'll visit Oahu, the third largest island. Then we'll hop north to explore Kauai, the exquisite Garden Island. Our first stop is Honolulu, where I've settled in at one of the Grand Dames of Oahu, the Royal Hawaiian Hotel.
She's been a treasured landmark for 80 years. The Pink Palace still retains her Spanish Moor style of the 1920s, when wealthy tourists strolled into the lobby with servants in steamer trunks, and they partied big time.
But before we party, let's take a look around the capital of this 50th state of ours. It's popular to discount Honolulu as too touristy, nothing except glitzy high-rises. But linger here long enough and you'll see for yourself why Oahu has come to mean the gathering place. Gathering together the most diverse peoples in the Pacific. You'll see also why more than 80% of the million residents in Hawaii live on this island. For visitors to Oahu, water rules. Getting in it, on it, under it. And fabled Waikiki Beach, a frenzied galaxy unto itself, still lures visitors to the water's edge, to the sublime white sand shores, rolling surf, and the dramatic backdrop of the extinct volcano that's symbolic of Waikiki, Diamond Head. Getting out to observe the island from the water is a must. A catamaran with an expert in charge was our best way to go. Outriggers have spent 30,000 years in the survival and transport of Pacific Rim peoples. Best guess is that Hawaiians first came ashore between 300 and 500 AD. That's 1,500 years of seafaring history. The Hawaii Maritime Center brings that history alive, with displays from ancient canoes to modern ships. Tales unfold of the volcanic birth of the islands and the voyages of Polynesian sailors and European explorers. You could imagine yourself on board the Falls of Clyde, tooling along in full sail as this vessel last did in 1921. It's the only surviving original fully rigged four-masted ship left in the world.
The British merchant who breezed into this harbor in the late 1700s aptly named the tiny village Fairhaven, later translated in Hawaiian to Honolulu. Behind me is the port, and over there is downtown Honolulu, the capital of Hawaii for more than 150 years. No longer a tiny village, Honolulu is a perfect repository of island history.
Prominent in the Capital District is Iolani Palace, the only official state palace in the United States. Lovingly built in 1882 by King Kalakaua, the palace stood as Hawaii's royal residence and center of government. From the palace grounds, islanders watched their national flag come down 11 years later. When Queen Liliuokalani tried to create a new constitution that gave more power to Hawaiians, a committee of American businessmen staged a coup d'etat. They overthrew the queen and eventually imprisoned her in the palace for 8 months. In 1900, the Hawaiian Islands officially became a territory of the U.S. and, in 1959, our 50th state. When you're hungry in Oahu, the world is yours. Where else can one find a better mix of multicultural cuisine? There's Polynesian food here, of course, but for more than 80 years, immigrants from China, Japan, Portugal, and Puerto Rico have brought their specialty foods as well. On a tip from a local, we stopped in at the Irafuna Japanese restaurant, a short drive from Waikiki Beach.
It's no secret that Hawaii's cost of living is one of America's highest, but per capita income is below average. So if you explore off the beaten track, you can find a reasonably priced, delicious, authentic meal. In fact, I think sushi and sashimi are the hamburgers and french fries of the islands.
Okay, here's the ahi sashimi.
Ahi sashimi, beautiful.
Spicy ahi sushi.
Right.
And this is the ahi avocado tartare with the wasabi sauce.
Thank you.
A complex past shaped the core of this island state, and in the last 100 years there's been a rebirth of appreciation for Hawaiian tradition and values. The Bishop Museum is the place to study early Hawaiian culture that ends in 1820 with the arrival of American missionaries. It's believed that Polynesians from the Marquesas first came to Hawaii between 300 and 500 AD. Followed centuries later by Tahitians who conquered the islands. It's all here, 25 million artifacts to bring alive the peoples of the Pacific and the story of migration to these islands. We've returned to the madcap beach scene of Waikiki. Surfing was called the sport of kings because for generations only Hawaiian royalty was allowed to play. Duke Kahanamoku changed all that. In 1908, the first Hawaiian Olympic swimming champion organized an amateur surfing club. There was no turning back. Now the Duke is revered for bringing this once elite sport to the world. Today, everyone except me wants to be king of the surf, and for that they turn to the Beach Boys. Didi Rebello comes naturally to his Beach Boy career. His father started as a Beach Boy here in 1932, and his mother is related to the Duke.
The ocean is dangerous anywhere. Out here we have a sandbar, and some people, they figure that they can't swim, they'll walk out on the sandbar, but the current, after say you take a step, it moves you a foot sideways, and the next thing you know, you're in the deep and you're screaming for help on a calm day.
What do you tell maybe a first-time visitor to Hawaii? How should they make the most of their vacation here?
My advice would be to do the beach first. The shopping, the restaurants, that's all open at night. and during bad weather. Over here you can have a beautiful day like it is today. Tomorrow it can be stormy. So do the beach stuff first. Don't wait for your last day.
And save time for Waikiki's Grand Dames. Stroll past the Royal Hawaiian to the elegant Sheraton Moana Surfrider built in 1901. Beyond her is the Halekulani Hotel, also a luxury old-timer. We've arrived for her sunset show. We're here to experience and learn about the hula dance from Kanoe Miller, who reigned as Miss Hawaii in 1973.
The kind of dancing that I do is called hula awana, which is modern hula, meaning that I dance in a movement that goes back and forth, from right to left. In the ancient dancing, it was very static. Originally, it was danced by men, and it was used as a warm-up for warfare.
The hula originated in the Marquesas Islands, and according to legend, was brought here by the goddess Loka. Once the Christian missionaries came to Hawaii, hula was considered a pagan thing, so it was hidden and danced in secret. In the late 19th century, King Kalakua declared that his people must renew their culture and invited them to dance again.
Hula is Hawaiian. It is the dance of Hawaii. It describes our environment. Hula is what one sees, and what they feel, what they smell, taste, and hear. It's the dance of our culture.
We can't leave Oahu without making a stop at the most visited site on the island, the memorial at Pearl Harbor.
It was Sunday morning, December 7th, 1941, when the Japanese Navy bombed the base and catapulted America into World War II. The memorial is built over remains of the sunken battleship USS Arizona.
The ship was a tomb for over 900 sailors that died aboard the vessel. The ship itself is going to last a long time, perhaps even 600 to 800 years.
The memorial brings home the impact of loss. There are the personal effects of a sailor and the wall of names. The December 7th attack at Oahu's coast took the lives of 2,000 people, nearly half of them from the USS Arizona.
How did the attack change the island of Oahu, generally speaking?
It's the people that worked in the fields. We're no longer working so much in those fields as working in the war industries. After the war was over, those that had enlisted in the service now had the opportunity to go to college. And when you look at the 442 and 100th Battalion Japanese Americans that came from here, they become the next leaders of Hawaii, along with Chinese Americans and Filipino Americans. So Hawaii was changed forever by World War II.
Hawaii is no stranger to attack. 200 years ago, the islands were united only after a series of battles led by warrior and future king Kamehameha I.
It was 1795 when King Kamehameha tossed his enemies over the Pali. He landed his huge armada of 1,200 war canoes and 10,000 soldiers at Waikiki.
No wonder Oahu troops headed for the hills. Kamehameha sent his best warriors up, and over the cliffs went his enemy. In 1810, the Hawaiian Islands accepted the reign of King Kamehameha the Great, and his family dynasty ruled for 60 years. You'll never guess that Pali was once a battlefield. The view is magic. Over there is Kailua Beach Park, our final romp by the sea before we fly to Kauai. For a break from the crowds of Waikiki, check out Kailua, only a 30-minute drive from Honolulu. It offers a stunning, peaceful scene without a high-rise in sight. Here you can take a lesson in boogie boarding and kayaking. One word of caution. When the winds are high, see if lifeguards have posted signs warning of Portuguese man-of-war, the stinging jellyfish. All clear? Then in no time you'll see why Kailua has been called the best beach in the world.
And what a way to go. The island of Oahu is gorgeous. The quiet beaches are here waiting for you to explore, and you can drive clear around the island in an easy afternoon. Paradise? Oh, you bet. And there's more. Kauai, here we come.
Kauai's natural beauty has earned it the title of the Garden Island. And though it offers plenty of attractions for its steady stream of visitors, it still holds on to a local small-town rural ambience. For those who discover it, one trip is never enough. Kauai is the farthest north of the Hawaiian Islands. We're concentrating on the southern part of the island, checking out areas around the main town of Lihu, the ancient center at Waialua Valley, and the Waimea Canyon area. A truly spectacular introduction to the island is Waimea Canyon, the place Mark Twain dubbed the Grand Canyon of the Pacific. Buses now bring up day trippers, but if you've got the time and your own wheels, this spot deserves some extra attention. Although most visitors opt for just the view, trails into the canyon can turn the trip into something special. "3,000 feet deep and 10 miles long, the gorge definitely brings up the question, how did this stunner get made? Well, you have to go way back in geologic time. It started when a gigantic earthquake almost split Kauai in two. The newly created volcanic island was moving and shaking. Then the island settled into a steady cycle of erosion, ever deepening and widening the split, a process continuing today. Scientists tell us that the Hawaiian Islands are drifting north, very slowly. A hot spot of magma is breaking through the Earth's crust. Each island started sitting on that magma. Over eons, the islands have drifted off that hot spot and continued north. Kauai was the first, it's the oldest, and the farthest north. The Big Island is the youngest, and it's still over that hot spot spewing up lava. As the oldest of the islands, Kauai's had plenty of time for Mother Nature to grind up fine sand for its many beaches. From these shores, you can look out over the waters where, in 1778, the Hawaiians first sighted the ships of Captain James Cook. Imagine the scene as the excited islanders, who had never seen such huge ships, crowded the shore, wailing and shouting. Cook only stayed a few days this time, but his visit forever changed life on the islands. To get a feel for how those early Hawaiians lived, we're heading north to the Waialua Valley. As the only navigable river on the island, the Waialua is usually full of pleasure boats. Kayaks and canoes get you down close and personal, or you can take one of the tour boats and along the way pick up a little insight into Kauai's past.
Those palm trees up there mark the site of the second largest heiau in the valley area. A heiau in translation meaning a place of worship or a temple.
Here was the traditional political center of the island. From this valley, the paramount chief exercised his authority over some 30,000 people. Along the riverside, you can visit Kamokila, a recreation of one of the many villages that once filled this valley. Although the village is small by ancient standards, you get an understanding of how large extended families shared their thatched leaf homes as well as their daily tasks.
When you carving also is a very spiritual thing. Even drums, I carve drums, yeah, and we gotta know the history about all the drums and things that we do.
The early Hawaiians were skilled artisans, diligent farmers and fishermen, but they had no concept of private property. Rather, the chiefs oversaw a system of reciprocity that led to a sharing of all products.
But of course, outside influences changed all that. A plantation system grew up that introduced private ownership and international trade. The profits from that trade produced some very gracious living. A remnant from that time is the Kilohana plantation.
It's outside the main town of Lihu and features a mansion built in the 1930s by one of the island's big sugar families, the Wilcoxes. The estate's been lovingly restored as a commercial enterprise filled with art galleries and boutiques. Original furniture still graces the hallways of the 16,000 square foot mansion. Its restaurant calls to mind garden parties back when sugar was king around here. And to top it off, carriage rides take you further afield into the days of bygone elegance.
Today we have more chickens than the human race on Kauai. We have so much chickens on Kauai today because Kauai is the only island that doesn't have the predator, the mongoose. You'll find the mongoose on every island except Kauai. We don't want the mongoose to come to Kauai, but the mongoose goes down to the beach and eats all the turtle eggs. That's why Kauai is the only island that has the most turtles, because we have no mongoose.
The little town of Kaloa opens up more of the sugar story. Here's where the very first plantation in the islands was established. The picturesque little town has put together a self-guided tour that fills in some of the history. You can pick up a copy and check out the points that interest you, from the abandoned mill on the edge of town to the statue honoring waves of immigrant workers. The Chinese were the first, arriving around 1850, to be followed by Japanese, Portuguese, Filipinos, Norwegians, Koreans, Puerto Ricans, Spaniards, and Russians. These laborers provided the ethnic mix that characterizes Hawaii today. With them came their culture, their music, their food, their religion. All contributed to the unique culture of Hawaii.
The sugar plantations are mostly gone now, but visitors who enjoy nostalgia can check in here at the Waimea Plantation Cottages.
Each cottage is a renovated home of former plantation workers, most dating from the early 1900s. And many were moved here from now defunct plantations around the island. The 27-acre site on Waimea Bay offers tranquility incarnate. Here's where you hide away to write that great novel. And oh, how easy it is to forget that the laborers who lived in these cottages spent their days doing back-breaking, hot, and dirty jobs. But workers and tourists alike need a night out, and in Kauai it could be Smith's Luau. Run by a local Hawaiian family, it demonstrates an authentic respect for things Hawaiian. It's a memorable evening in a dramatic setting. Come morning, we're taking a quick trip to the McBride Gardens. Plantings began here in the late 1900s when Queen Emma used these grounds as a summer palace. As the National Tropical Botanical Garden, its 250 acres provide a peaceful place to remind us why Kauai has been dubbed the Garden Island.
Well, it's time to say aloha. Now that's an interesting word. It's an expression of affection and a greeting, a kind of hello and farewell all in one. It's not a goodbye, but rather a trust we'll meet again. So, in true Polynesian tradition, I wish you aloha and mahalo, that's thank you, for joining us.